Say hello to the bully that is the king of the Underworld. Hello and welcome to the table, and today I'm going to be doing a deck tech video for Cad Bane, which I thought was one of the worst decks off the bat, but now I think is one of the best decks in the entire freaking game. So yeah, let's get into it. So to start things off, let's talk about Cad Bane, which doesn't seem wonderful off the start. I mean, whenever you play an Underworld card, you may exhaust this leader to then deal 1 damage to a unit, but the opponent gets to pick what unit they control, which doesn't seem great, but those instances of painting can add up more quickly than you would think, and it gets even better when, once you have 6 resources, you can flip Cad Bane into a 2/8 with Raid 2, and whenever you play an Underworld card, once a round, instead of the opponent having to deal 1 damage to one of their units, they deal 2 damage to one of their units, which makes that little instances of pain add up way quicker. Especially when you have a green shell with yellow cards and black cards, with Cad Bane, of course, being yellow and black, and just having all the best Underworld cards, all the best events to take advantage of Bosk, a 5-resource, 4/5 ambush. Whenever you're playing an event, you deal 2 damage to a unit. Another way to add up the Cad Bane instances of pain more quickly. But yeah, just play really good events, play really good Underworld cards, and play really good yellow, green, and black cards, because, I mean, hey, this is the best combination of aspects in the game. But yeah, play really solid cards, and you just got a monster of a deck. I mean, to start things off, Boss, we got all these amazing events, right? Let's get into some of these events. I mean, we got cards like Shoot First, 2 copies in the deck, 1 resource, attack with a unit, gets +1 power for the attack, and deals damage to the defender before the defender deals damage to it. Seems pretty good to keep some of your important Underworld cards alive longer. You also got cards like Surprise Strike, 2 resource, attack with a unit, it gets +3 power for the attack. It's just always been good, and it is still good. No Good to Me Dead, 2 resources, exhaust a unit. It doesn't ready during the regroup phase, so it's gone for 1 turn and a 2nd turn. That seems nuts. And then there's Waylay, 2 copies of it in the deck, 3 resource, return any non-leader unit to its controller's hand. That's really good. And the opponent, let's say the opponent's spreading around some of their damage. They deal 1 damage to this unit, 1 damage to this unit, 1 damage to this unit. Well, you can punish the opponent for doing that by saying, hey, Overwhelming Barrage, 5 resources. You get to choose one of your units, and it gets +2/+2 for the phase, and you deal damage equal to its power divided as you choose them on any number of units. Well, you just can kind of clear the opponent's entire board more easily and consistently than any other deck that can run Overwhelming Barrage, which is nuts and awesome. And lastly, I got McClunky, a 1 resource event that says return an Underworld card to your hand and deal 3 damage to a unit. And don't worry, that return a Underworld card to your hand, it might seem bad off the bat, but don't worry, it's good. With cards like Bazine Natal, a 2-resource 1/3, whenever you play it, you get to look at the opponent's hand, discard a card from it. They do get to draw a card, but that has Smuggle and Plus. I mean, if you get to use it multiple times with something like McClunky and get rid of the best card in their hand multiple times, that's pretty good. And there's Cartel Spacer too. You want to talk about good ways to exhaust the opponent's stuff? This is it. A 2-resource 2/3 space unit, whenever you play it, you get to exhaust any unit that costs 4 or less, so long as you have another yellow unit out. It's pretty good. And there's also Salacious Crumb, a 1-resource 1/3. When you play it, you get to deal 1 damage from your base, and you can exhaust him, deal 1 damage to a ground unit, and then bounce him back to your hand. Seems pretty good, especially considering you play Cad Bane. Well, you play this, get a pain from Cad Bane, deal 1 damage from your base. Then you exhaust him. As an action, bounce him back to your hand, deal 1 damage to a ground unit. Then you play him again. And you just have this cycle. Sure, it takes a couple of turns to do it, but you just have this cycle that you're doing every single turn of playing, painting, gaining life while you're at it. It's just so good. And then there's all the other just amazing Underworld cards in this deck. I mean, Greedo, 1 resource 3/1. Whenever he's defeated, you get to put the top card of your deck. You don't have to, but you can put the top card of your deck into your discard pile. And if it's a non-unit card, which there are plenty of those, as you can tell, you get to deal 2 damage to a ground unit. Add up the damage from Cad Bane way quicker, again. Then there's cards like Dr. Evison, 2 resource 3/3 shielded. It has this pretty big bounty that sucks for you when the opponent collects it. But again, they don't want to take too much damage on their units because, I mean, hey, they don't want the units to die quicker. So you get to have this 2 resource 3/3 shielded out a lot longer than you would expect, and it's just a really solid body. So yeah, gotta have 3 copies of that in the deck. And there's also Sun Guard Protector or something like that. It's a 3-resource 3/2 space unit with Sentinel. I mean, come on. It's just completely screwing the opponent's turns over, and she's like, hey, I'm going to play this. You really want to attack into it and have one of your units more likely to die, or do you want to just stay around and have the staring contest? So it completely screws the opponent's turns and game plan up. Speaking of something that does that, we got a ground thing with Sentinel. Gamorrean Guards, 4 resource, 4/4, has Sentinel so long as you have another cunning unit out, another yellow unit out. Seems pretty good. And there's other ways to screw the opponent up with cards like Strafling Gunship, a 4 resource 3/4 that says you can attack ground units with this card, and when you do, they get -2 power while defending. That's pretty good. Just kill the opponent's ground units all the freaking time for very cheap. Now you might be looking at this and you're like, this seems to fall victim to control decks such as Kira and Krennic and all these control decks in the game. Well, there are ways to get around that. Cards like Lady Proxima, for example, a 1 resource 0/4 that says whenever you play an Underworld card, not once per turn by the way, you deal 1 damage to a base. So with Cad Bane, yeah, sure, you're gonna be able to pain the opponent's ground units, which, hey, control decks still have important units that they need in order to end the game, but still, they don't have their units out, you're just painting the opponent's base with cards like Lady Proxima, and that's every time you play an Underworld card, so it adds up way quicker than you would think, such as Cad Bane's ability. But yeah, this deck does not fall victim to control matchups, and thanks to Lady Proxima, and it's just so good. And there's all the other, ways to end the game, just game-ending units, such as Xanadu Blood, a 6 resource 4/6 space unit with Raid freaking 2. What? And whenever you play it, or attack with it, you get to bounce one of your Underworld cards back to your hand, which, as I've stated earlier, is not really much of a downside. You then, since you do that, get to exhaust a unit or a resource the opponent controls. That is nuts. You get to give the opponent the middle finger every time you play and attack with this guy. And it's a 4/6 with Raid 2 in space. So yeah, that seems pretty good. Same thing with Maul. It's a 7 resource 7/6 with Ambush and Overwhelm. And whenever you attack with him, all damage that would be dealt to him is dealt to an Underworld unit that you control. Which is nuts. Because, you play something like Greedo, and you just have all the damage that would be dealt to Maul, dealt to the Greedo instead. You have this 7/6 ambush that just killed the thing. Now it sticks around with no damage on it. The opponent either has to attack into it, most likely killing the thing, or pointing it down to a low life total, and Cad Bane just kills it. Or it just sticks around and just mows down the opponent's board. So yeah, this card's nuts. This deck's nuts. It has access to tons of powerful cards, and even against the control matches, it can still win with cards like Lady Proxima, or just killing the opponent with really solid units that this deck has plenty of. And yeah, this deck is just nuts. It has everything that you would want in a deck. So, hey, I hope that you enjoy this deck. I hope that you enjoy this set. And make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It's completely free, you won't regret it. And have a great rest of your day, everybody.